Hi there and welcome to this video. Today I'll show you how to onboard the Gaia-X ecosystem using the walt.id SSI Kit CLI tool. I'd say let's just cut right into it and start up the SSI Kit. So this right here is the walt.id SSI Kit, and we have a Gaia-X subcommand for you to use to onboard the whole Gaia-X ecosystem. When you onboard the Gaia-X ecosystem, there are 4 steps needed for the whole procedure. The first one is to either generate or import an Rsa key. Usually, you'll want to import one, and specifically from your SSL certificate of your server. This is because the Gaia-X compliance service expects you to have the same Rsa key used as your key in your DIT, as you use the key in your SSL certificate on your web server, on your domain. This also has to correspond to the domain you use in your DIT that's validated using the DIT web procedure. So with the dit.json document in the well-known directory of your web server. The second step is to utilize this key you've just generated or imported to create a new DIT. This is the DIT web I was talking about. This DIT web is in the RSA, is a RSA key formatted in the as a dit.json on your web server, as I've just said. You'll have also to specify a few extra attributes for the Gaia-X ecosystem, for example, x5u, which is a certificate stack URL pointing to, your certificate stack, your certificate chain that's used also in your SSL certificate again. When you have your DIT, you'll utilize this DIT to create your verifiable credential. This is in the most cases a legal person credential. This is where you supply all the data for the credential, and then you'll receive the credential signed with a proof and so on in the end. And when that's done, you can send this legal person credential to the compliance service, so the Gaia-X compliance API, and you'll receive a compliance credential. And the combination of the compliance credential and the participant credential allow you to utilize the Gaia-X ecosystem. So I say let's jump right into it. Using SSI Kit onboard, Gaia-X onboard, you will have a wizard that guides you through all these operations. Theoretically, you can also manually do each of these steps with their own command, for example, key gen or key import, then create a new DIT, create a new VC. So it's actually in the right order here. And then in the end, use the Gaia-X generate participant. But we'll use the onboarding wizard because it's far easier, and you'll have to remember less DITs, less key IDs. Let's go do that right now. You see, we have the Gaia-X onboarding wizard right here. And the first step, as I've said, is to generate a new key. This is where you either actually generate a new key or you import one from an existing file, usually a SSL certificate. This is what I'll do. I have this file right here. This is the certificate for a specific subdomain I've created for this example. We'll import this from here, so we'll enter this file path, and you see it automatically and very quickly imports this key from the file. This is our key ID. I'm just gonna write this down, just like that. And now the next step is to generate a DIT web from this key we've just generated or imported. This DIT web will have a domain part. So that means you already have to have a domain for this, but you can also use a subdomain. This is what I'll do. In this example, we'll use dits.walt.id test.cloud. And you can also supply a custom path, but I won't do that. I'll go with the default, which is the well-known directory. Now we already have this did web. This is the did web, and you see we have the domain in here, the domain part. Also gonna write this down. We have the key. This is the RSA public key. You see RSA, RS256 as a RSA verification key. And now, as I've said, you'll want to add a certificate chain URL attribute. This is this X5U you see right here. So let's do this. In here, you can see my certificate chain. It's in the directory well-known X509 certificate chain. I'll jump here, and you see this is the certificate. First, we have the certificate for our subdomain. Then we have the Let's Trust certificate. And in the end, we'll have a trust anchor. This whole certificate chain will be validated by the Gaia-X compliance service. Thus, it has to be correct and it has to be a full chain, not just your certificate. But in the end, it's all just the public certificates, so it'll work out. So let's jump back and supply this. This whole thing is at this path for me. And now you see we have a new did. So this did has added the added X5U attribute at this URL. It's not in a JSON. It has not run through a JSON prettifier, but it's the same thing. Let's see if this is actually on here. We'll check this. We now do a curl request, so we download the contents of this URL. And you see that's our certificate chain. So this certificate chain is installed correctly indeed, yeah. Then the next task, because it said make sure to have the valid certificate chain here. The next task is to install this did web at this URL. So I'm gonna copy this did. This is the whole did document. I'll copy it and I'll go back and install this in my well-known directory as did.json. So just paste it in. That's it. And I'm gonna roll this out to the server. This will take just a second. You see it's already done. Now I'm gonna go back and check back this has worked fine. You see our key ID starts with 023F. So when I now curl this URL, I should have this key ID in here, and you see this is valid, this is correct. So the installation of the did to the well-known directory worked fine. So we'll continue with the verifiable credential generation. This is just supplying a lot of data to the verifiable credential. I'm not gonna do that. I'll use the defaults for most of it, but I might just add the dids in here, like issuer, ID, and you can supply custom data, of course, and it will actually be incorporated into the credential. But you don't have to. You can use the defaults from a template. But if you add custom data, like here or like here, it will actually be incorporated into your credential. So let's see, we've already received a credential document, and it's also signed with a proof, as you can see. And the custom data we supplied also exists, and where we use the defaults from the templates, of course, the defaults will be added to the individual attributes. Of course, you are supposed to supply the whole data, but it would take too long for this example. And the last step is to generate the compliance credential. So the CLI will automatically send this created legal person credential to the compliance API and will receive this participant credential. So this is our compliance credential, and you see it's done now. And using combination of this participant credential and this legal person credential, you can take part in the Gaia-X ecosystem and utilize it for your needs. For example, you could use these to together with the walt.id IDP kit and authorize persons on basis of their legal person and participant credentials to your own services. This has been shown in another video. But for this video, that's it for now, and thank you for watching. I hope we'll see you next time.